Hello, my Edu family, and let me welcome you to another Analysis Thursday. This is our first Analysis Thursday in the feature that we're looking at, online lesson planning. How do we go about planning for the virtual space? With me today, in a different with a twist to what we have been doing, is Mr. Kenloy Smith. He is let me say, a beginning teacher, just out of Teachers College University, and he is in his first job as an English language teacher. And so he will be going through this analysis with us today as we look at the tips that were given on Sunday when we looked at the tips for online lesson planning. What do we need to do in order to plan for our lessons effectively in the virtual space? Welcome, Mr. Smith, and thanks for consenting to be with me on this platform. And let me tell the viewers, as a beginning teacher, he has the qualities that will make him an excellent model teacher in the future once he continues on this trajectory. Welcome, Mr. Smith, and thanks for consenting to be here with us for Analysis Thursday.
Thanks for having me. I'm sorry for the background noise. One of the downsides of having dogs is that they bark a lot. But I'm still here with you, and thank you for having me, Miss. It is really a pleasure to be here. I always enjoy watching your videos on a Sunday, the strategic planning, especially the online lesson one. It really spoke volume to me.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm happy that it is helping you along as you cement your craft in the teaching and learning process. Now, when we looked at the plans that the tips that were given on Sunday, what was your takeaway from the video?
All right, so I have my little notes that I made, because I took a lot.
Sure.
I took a lot of notes because one of the first things that I wrote down is that you said that the outside lesson, we can use things like blogs and presentations, and it really had me thinking that for true online lesson is so different from a in-person lesson. We have to plan differently. It's not going to be the same methods, the same techniques, and things like group discussions that we could once have, they're going to be structured differently. So one of the first takeaway points that I have here is that you said if we don't plan our lesson, if we don't have a well-designed lesson plan, then we're actually going to lose our students and we won't be able to retain them. And that is so true, because as some of you might know, in an online lesson, our attention span is so limited. So the students, they can opt to do something else. Why learn today? They can go watch a movie on Netflix. They can go play a video game. So you have to make your lesson, as you said, you have to make your objectives smart.
Right, very good. And two, one of the things that we need to look at as we plan for the virtual space is that we have to take into consideration, if when we have our students in front of us in the physical space, it's so difficult with all the distractions around, and this is a school setting, right? And if they're there and they're looking through the window, they see their friends passing, they want to see where they're going and so on. Just imagine they're at home in their space where there's a possibility that they may have schoolwork to work in the house to be done, where they have neighbors passing, where maybe they're not be online, they're outside playing. There's several distractions that are going on. And so that is why it is important that we plan with the students in mind, and we plan to know that it is in the virtual space that we're operating. But let me ask you this, sir. How has it been for you? Do you find that you have the same set of students coming on each time that you have a class, or do you see it dwindling? You're muted. You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that. Definitely, it's a mixture of both. For example, my 11th grade class, they're normally the ones who turn up, they're normally consistent, but it's normally
You're right.
it's less than 75% of the class. You know, out of a class of 30,
Mm-hmm.
30 plus, I have 5 students on a regular. And
Wow.
that's very limited. And then every now and then you have a new person pop in and you're like, I want to bring you up to speed, but I have to move on with those who I have. With my
Right.
grade 9 and 10 students now, it's very random. So I might have 3 today. Next week I have 7. Then the other week I have 4 different persons altogether. So it really took a
Right.
toll on me because I won't lie. I know coming from the appraisal that lesson planning for me is one of my weakest areas because of
Mm-hmm.
how this online platform started. Because I was wondering, what do I plan? Who am I planning for? Which batch of students am I
Right.
planning for? The ones that turn up regularly or the ones that don't? And
Mm-hmm.
your video really spoke to me about. And I remember a senior teacher telling me that, sir, sometimes you have to just slow down and go at their pace. So what I had to do
Mm-hmm.
is that I said, okay, for my objectives, I have to be realistic and timely. I might be going slower than
Yeah.
I'm used to because I feel like as teachers, we tend to forget that even ourselves as teachers, we're different from the students in how we learn. So I have to say, okay, I have to
Yeah.
go at their pace. So sometimes I'm teaching a topic for
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks, and to me, it might be an easy topic, but to my students it's quite challenging. So I keep on
Yeah.
saying, okay, let's go over this. And you move steadily along while you leave room for the newcomers to jump in and to catch up. So I'll say, okay, you missed last week, but I posted the video online, or I posted the link to the group chat. So you can check it out when you have time.
Right. And that is very important, and that's the attitude, because when you look at the planning of the lesson, you will sit and you will plan a very good lesson, but you will find that when you go to the class, you cannot do as you would. And I would have had colleagues who would have said to me, how do you get this? What should I be doing? And I'm saying, because we are so caught up at times with covering the syllabus. We want to finish off, we want to get all the way, exams are coming up, we want the students prepared. But what is the sense of us rushing the syllabus when you are through with the syllabus, the students have not grasped anything? And so I always say to educators, this is where it calls for us to take on a new approach to the curriculum and what we do with it. So what we need to be is to, maybe for you, sir, this is really your first time. So it's going to take you a that, okay, after teaching this topic, then I could have merged this one with it, I could have put it there. But for those who are already there, you would know that, okay, if you are teaching a particular topic, you can also merge digestion with something else. You could put it in here, you could keep it there. So instead of what you will find happen, that you complete a topic and then you move on to another part, and you see something that was similar to what you just did. Why didn't I just put it there? So a part of it is to be able to uncover. So a lot of educators have this state they're covering, but covering means you're just running through. And uncovering means that you are going in, pulling down, taking out, and sometimes you cannot take as the syllabus gives you. You're taking everything that the syllabus gives to you. What you have to do is to see how it works in your context and the students that you are dealing with. So if it is just one objective that you have covered, fine. Let it be that when you are through with that objective, the students have grasped it so much you don't need to go over. And so it makes it easier for you as you progress. All right. Any other takeaway point that you may want to share from what you have seen? So we have looked at the need for objectives to be smart, and need for us to realize that we're in the virtual space, so we can't do as we would have done in the classroom. Any other takeaway as we are analyzing, for those who are doing, we're going through this analysis of the tips that were given on Sunday for online lesson planning, to which we have been getting a lot of good reviews, which shows that really teachers are having a struggle with this. Go ahead, Ms.
Yes, thank you. A takeaway point, or should I say a thought that came to my mind is when I heard you say in the video that, and I quote, my students are not coming on to class, they're not participating, and this might be a result that the lesson plan is not well designed, so you're not able to retain your students. And I just want to touch on it a little bit because I feel as if sometimes apart outside of this lesson planning, we need to plan our lessons for the students' devices. Because just like with our little platform right now, you and I might have access to Zoom, but there are certain classes or certain students who are not going to have access to Zoom or even to Google Classroom. And I tell you, miss, it
Right.
is a challenge. I'm not going I've just started barely 1 year into teaching, and I can tell you that this year was rough, but I am a firm believer in persistence and perseverance. But the reality is that online learning for a lot of persons is going to be difficult, but we still have a job to do. If we really care about our students learning, then we have to be flexible. And what I love, linking it now to my takeaway point of what you said, was that you said that we must have an outside lesson. We can use blogs and presentations. So we can actually have the students learning outside of the classroom. We can leave room for the students to talk and discuss things. Because when I was studying in Canada, one way that our lecturer had us engage with the content is that they would ask us to tweet about something that we learned today, and we have to reply to another student's comment. So for example,
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Viewers, this is what we have
that
to go through when we
and
are doing.
imagine that this is a part of your lesson when we're planning. You have to say, what if the
Right.
Wi-Fi goes?
Yeah, right.
Right.
So
So
you rightly said that we have to think about their devices. So if it is that you are
mhm.
going to be planning a lesson, yeah, and you're going to be using Google Meet, what if the student's phone? Because I've had instances where I would want to go into Google Classroom to teach a lesson, but two students may say, Miss, I don't have enough data, or Miss, my phone, I need to delete stuff from it. And to be honest, because I teach a practical class, I really have to think about if I have a small number of students and two they're unable to get on, it wouldn't make any sense for me. So you know what? Sometimes what I end up have to do, I'm in Google Classroom, and I am also in the WhatsApp video calling, or the WhatsApp call, where they can all hear and participate in what is going on. Because then based on what I'm doing, I may need to be showing something. Sometimes I have to revert my lesson and just go through it plain and simple, instead of taking them through what I would have already had laid out for them. And so that is very important. As we get down to the, like, we have maybe just about two, let me see, 5 more minutes. Is there, from your experience thus far, do you believe that, having now been in the experience, what will it be like for you in the next school year? Do you see wherein you are going to, what is it that you'll be doing for the next year, beginning September?
well, all being well and God's plan fulfilling, if I'm afforded that privilege, I'm definitely taking your tip with me into the next year, and I'm walking with my journal. I feel like as teachers, I have a little journal, but I don't have a proper one. I feel like as teachers, the journaling, man, it helps you to see what worked before, what didn't work, what did I need, what
Yeah,
can I change, and where can I improve. So I feel as if that next year I will be more open-minded. I won't say
yeah,
I'm more prepared, because I don't know what might happen next year. We don't know if it's wow, I don't know. But what I do know is that
right.
I am willing and I'm capable of meeting my students' need as best as I can with with proper planning. That was the main takeaway point, and I have to touch on it. That, miss, the power of
Yes,
organization
sir.
is no lie. If you
Yeah,
plan, even if you have a little hiccup and box, You know what you plan, so you can change it up, you can fix it up. And you do foods and nutrition, so you know that, all right, I have to make this dish and I have to prepare it. Oh, I carried my ingredients to class, so if something goes wrong, I know exactly what I can use to substitute for that flavor. All right,
Right.
so I'm
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to a next academic year, and I just hope that my students will be patient with us teachers as we are learning
Yeah.
also. Well, because this is a new experience for a lot of us, learning how to teach them on an
Right.
online platform.
Okay, great. One thing before I go, how is it for you as it relates to collaboration? Is it that you collaborate with others? I know that there are persons who, and I've said it, that the live worksheet, they work so well in a time in which you have to be doing assessment sometimes, and it may be difficult for the students to come in. You can't have them come in to do the 6 weeks or so on, but the live worksheets, I realize that they really work, especially for English language. How does the collaboration work for you, Mr. Smith?
Well, definitely. As I started school and as I got the job, I had to identify teachers who I wanted to be like. So immediately I said, I want to not just be like them, not to transform into them, but I want to take their strengths and see if I can add it to mine. So the collaboration for me, I must say, it has been a tremendous impact. And I have to big up my department and my school, because I would get
Yeah,
advice from people and I would ask them how you did this, how you did that. And even our non-academic staff, I said, Adrian or Mr. Stevenson, show me how I can make a certificate for my students. And he would have shown
yeah,
me. So I feel as if as teachers, we need to understand that not because you're teaching a content, it doesn't mean that you can't ask for help. Because at the end of the
that's
day, our main
true.
goal is the students should be learning. It's not about me trying to look good or trying to get all A's or all
Yeah,
passes. You're trying to improve your students. And one thing that I've made a mantra and I've made a consistent goal of mine is that I always tell my students at the end of every class, I'm looking for progress, not perfection.
yeah.
Because the reality
Very
is
good.
not everybody's going to get 100%. But if I can get you to move from a 0 to a 50, then that would have been great. And if I should be your role model, I should be able to collaborate as I want you to collaborate with other students, not just your classmates, with everyone. Because at the end of the day, we're all here to learn from each other.
Awesome, awesome. That is very well put, Mr. Smith, because sometimes we tend to forget that even though we are teachers, we are also a part of the teaching learning process, and we should be able to learn from the students as much as they learn from us as well. Sometimes they are the ones who can give us the tips and tricks when we're trying to give them the worksheet, and it's so, oh, Miss, we done this, or they are the ones. So we have to, or sir, this is how you could do this, or so on. So we have to also bear in mind that it's a collaborative approach that we are doing, and that as we work together as educators to make the students grasp and learn and to make a better nation, really collaboration is the way out. If you were to encourage a beginning teacher like yourself, just out of university, teaching in a high school setting, for you have an example. Usually beginning teachers, they don't really step up to that plate, but you have an example, and it may be that other teachers are out there. What would you say to them as we have analyzed the tips for online lesson planning? What would you say to them?
Beautiful question. The first thing I would say to them is, before you start to teach a lesson, get to know your students. All right. It might be unconventional. It might be a bit um, quote unquote not the norm. But once you get to know your students, you'll know how they learn. And I saw you mention it, the personality test, the learning type test. Don't take those for granted. Even if you are a bit hesitant, get to know your students, and then it would make things so much easier. That's my first thing to them. My second thing is that don't ever feel as if you're too good or too right to be corrected. Allow the students to correct you when you make mistakes. Allow other teachers to correct you when you make mistakes. Take some of the oh my God, I need to get everything perfect. I need to teach this. Sometimes as a student, I do the little flip. I don't understand this. How would you explain it to me? And you allow them to learn with you. So try to make that environment of not a dictatorship classroom, not a teacher pouring into the knowledge of the students, but having a discussion where we're both learning. Because I tell you, if you have a friend or a best friend, you learn with them, you guys engage and you talk and you say, I don't think it's so, I think it is this way. And you say, but why did you hear so? So many it again now. That is how our classroom should be. We're too caught up on the idea of I need to do this and this is what I say. So we need to, get a little bit off that. And finally, I would say, don't forget your deadlines. As a new teacher, I'm telling you, I am behind some of my deadlines, and it's because you say, oh, I was in high school, college, I could write up this overnight. When you have students who are depending on you to come to class, it will motivate you to meet your deadlines. So remember that you have a personal life, but you also have a professional life. And sadly, unlike some professions, teaching doesn't end. Even on our Teachers' Day, we're still planning, we're still thinking, we're still engaging. So don't
So
forget
true.
to take a little time off, but to meet write down those deadlines, man, and get the things done and have fun learning with their students. Let them feel the passion for the subject that you have. So if it's not a subject that if you don't love the subject, it will show that you don't love the subject. But your students can tell when you love something. So even if you don't love it, you can try and pump it, man, and get the best of it. Because for some of them, this might be their only chance of securing a job or an education, or it might be their one thing that they might be good at. So we really have to take that into consideration.
I just said A because I was going to say amen, and amen is rightly so. Very good thoughts and explanation and empowerment right there, Ms. Smith, for all our young teachers, that we need to take these into consideration as you go into the classroom. And so, educators, this is our first analysis of online teaching, and we looked at the tips that were given on Sunday, how strategic they are, and how do they work and have been working for you. For those of you out there, your experience may have been slightly different or maybe the same, but we are here to empower each other. Mr. Smith, thank you so much for coming. He's also a teacher at the Roger Clark High School there in St. Elizabeth. And so when he made mention of his department, he's mentioning his English language department headed by Mrs. Stacy Reed Perrier. And I am Carla Boswell-Lewis, Director for Strategic Educational Consultancy Services, where my mission is to empower you educators. Remember that we are doing our best at all times to empower the student place in our charge and plot. Educators, if you like this video and you would love to change it a little bit, so I'm just doing it all by myself, and I hope maybe I could get Mr. Smith one more time, maybe next week again, to go through this analysis with us. If you like this video, let us know in the comment section. Thank you for all those who watched and stunned and you gave your positive feedback. And even if it is negative, we want to know what we have done differently. Like, share, and subscribe if you have not yet done so, because we're on a mission to help each one to reach somewhere as we try to navigate this new normal. Thank you so much, and we will see you on Sunday. Sunday, we'll be looking at the flipped classroom, where we will learn how we can the online setting to help us to achieve our objectives. Thank you so much, Mr. Smith, and thank you, educators, for always tuning in. Have a good day, everyone.